River. So good to have you here with us. I'm Lizzie Williamson, and sitting on this beautiful couch next to me is the founder of Low Tox Life. And if you have made one of her nourishing recipes, if you have listened to her podcast, read her inspiring blog, or done one of her many e-courses, you do a lot, you know that, don't you? Then you will know that she wants you and the planet to feel awesome, and in the most inspiring, authentic and accessible way. You really help us all to know what it takes and open our eyes on how to live this healthier, happier, low tox life. Alexx Stuart.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
Oh, thanks for having me over.
I'm excited.
This show is all about helping to inspire you to get your precious body moving more and to bust through all those excuses that we have that get in the way of doing it. And I'm so keen to speak to you, Alexx, because like my intro, I mean, you are doing a lot and you are giving out a lot to a lot of people. You've got staff, you've got a family, and I'm wondering what you do and how you give back to yourself, specifically through exercise, and how doing that helps you in your life and in your business, if you've ever struggled with doing it in any sort of way. And then at the end we'll do an excuse busting 2-minute move to show you really how possible it is just to get these little bits of movement into your day and how good you feel when you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I found really interesting when I left school and university was I realised, and it took me a few years to realise this, that I had organised exercise in my life. I was part of the tennis team. I was part of musical theatre, doing dancing and choreography and all sorts of things. And then I got quite tubby in my mid-20s. Some people call that fat and happy, you know, your first kind of live-in boyfriend, like long-term relationship, all that kind of stuff. But I really attribute it to not actually realising that the things that I love to do to move had been taken away, like in terms of no one was organising those things for me anymore. And I dare say that might actually resonate with people out there who go, oh my God, I love tennis. Like I just started playing again a couple of months ago, and the joy, the crazy joy, it's been 20 years since I've properly played on a weekly basis. And I just like, why would you stop doing your favourite things? So for me, exercise is like, wow, a realisation that if I want my favourite things to be in my life and my favourite ways of moving, I need to bring those in. Then of course there's that other side of daily movement, especially when you work. I have a standing desk and I sometimes sit on the couch, sometimes on the dining table, sometimes standing desk in the office. So it's not like I'm sitting all day every day, but at the same time there are 1, 2, 3 hour periods where I just want to sit down and focus. I don't want to be like, I find at the standing desk I fidget with my feet and I do tree pose and I do all this, let me just do a little stretch. I get a bit distracted, so sitting does help me focus. And to break that up, I have a couple of little strategies, whether I roll out my yoga mat and do a couple of stretches, or even just do a couple of squats on the couch, something to get the blood going, because if you get the blood going, your brain gets going again. And it also takes you away from your work. So if you're trying to solve a problem, or if you've got a bit of a writer's block, there's nothing better than movement. Or a smoothie. That's good too.
Moving while you're making a green smoothie.
Yes, totally, which you can teach us about. But something I found really interesting was I got quite sick a couple of years ago. Anyone who's experienced exposure to mold and is really sensitive to it, you can get really inflamed, and then I couldn't do a lot of cardio. In fact, it's instructed that you do as little as possible. So stretching just became my, oh my gosh, I just love stretching because it meant that I could still move my body, could still keep myself agile, and still get blood going to places that it needed to go, but I wasn't stressing my body out and creating more inflammation. So, you know, if you're adrenally fatigued, sometimes if you're experiencing chronic inflammation of any kind, it turns out cardio isn't our best way forward. Like some gentle strength and stretching means we still keep our body moving in the ways that we need to move, but we can still be kind to ourselves during those periods. So that was a learning for me to really tune in, depending on where you're at in life and depending on what you're actually technically able to do at the time, but also not to lie to yourself when you are once again able to do more. you know, because I think we're all very good at saying, oh no, but like, I've been inflamed. So, you know what I mean? But if you're not, and if you're getting better, then you need to focus on that and bring more movement back into your life. And I caught myself making excuses a few months ago. I was like, no, I really think I can push myself more than this now, and rising to that challenge, and it just feels so good when you do. It's kind of like a bath, you know you want to do it, you know it feels great at the end of the bath, and you go, oh my God, why don't I do this every day? Exercise is the same.
So those things that you were telling yourself were about your health and information, those that you, what you called them, those excuses that you were telling yourself.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Look, I think it's when you start to let yourself be defined by bad things that are going on in your life. It's like, I hear this a lot, my anxiety, you take ownership, it's like becomes yours and it's inside you. No, I always like to try and see it as something that you're going through, but it's not yours and you don't own it. Do you know that?
Yeah.
And I'm sure,
I love that so much.
I'm sure you would have, maybe not consciously at the time, but like if you look back on what you've been through, like I really think that distinction needs to be made more, so that we're not like owning the negativity and instead realizing that we're passing through it.
So what do you think the difference is when we are saying it's ours? Like what happens to us?
I think it literally becomes a weight. It literally becomes inside you and a bog down, instead of like, picture yourself traveling through something. You know you're going through and you know there'll be somewhere else you'll end up. But when there's an ownership and when it's yours, it becomes real estate. And then you're in it, like, and it's heavy. So I think that's what the difference is.
So in that heaviness, I guess things like exercise feel a whole lot harder.
Yeah, I really think they do. Where, yeah, I really think so. And I know that things shifted for me when I realised that I had said a couple of things, you know, when you just interviewed or like a little thing slips out and think, I want to revisit that later because that didn't sit very well with me. There was something about the energy of saying my CIRS, which is chronic inflammatory response syndrome, I said it like a year ago and I was like, oh no, I don't, this is not mine. This is something I'm going through. That's very different. And I think if you've read enough Brené Brown books, you become pretty good at analysing those sorts of things. I did not own this. Daring greatly. Favourite book ever.
Yeah. And so that idea that you were talking about earlier, about that you remembered how much you love tennis, for example, because I think what happens is a lot of the time we think that exercise has to be this sort of thing that perhaps maybe it's not something we necessarily have to enjoy, but we have to do it because we know that we should. And the difference, I guess, in finding a way to move that you really like.
Yeah, absolutely. And acknowledging that it's a gift to yourself instead of a have to. It's like when do exercise become a chore?
I know, right?
You're like, everybody's saying it! Because it's not, and it's all in the way we frame it. I think the 80s really, with all the different things that we had to do, and we have to do this many ab workouts. I remember having all the tapes and doing my Jane Fonda as a teenager because Mum bought it, all those sorts of things. And I just think we got taught that we had to be on these programs and do these things, and then it just became quite militant instead of coming back to what exercise is, which is a way to fuel our bodies and minds, just as food is. And it's all in the mindset. Just like, I don't get to eat gluten anymore, or have I never felt as good as this, and why would I eat something that harms my body? If you realise you're gluten intolerant, not everyone is, by the way, but you know what I mean? As an example, it's all in the way we frame it, and I don't think exercise is any different to food or other forms of self-care.
How amazing is this woman? Couldn't we just have her here for hours and hours talking about all of this?
About you. I would love you to just pop in and go, right, we're going to do our 2 minutes, which is great because you actually do that, but it's just online. But yeah.
So when you look at all you're doing, you're doing your stretches, your movement, your tennis, you're getting out and doing stuff. What is it about it? Why do you need it the most? How can you see it really helping and making an impact on what you're doing?
I think I've noticed the times in my life where I've needed extra osteopathic or chiropractic support have always coincided with the times of least activity. Always. So I honestly, and then times of, mental dullness, I call it. I don't become depressed. I'm very fortunate that I've never experienced that. But I have had anxiety and I have had dullness, like a heavy kind of, I don't want to do anything, that kind of day after day after day. And I definitely know that those periods also coincide with periods of least activity. So if you flip that over, when you are being active, like yesterday we started the day, I saw my husband head onto the phone, I saw my boys head onto the iPad, and I was tossing up whether I was just going to hit the computer for a little bit of work and responding to people on social. And I went, no, right, it is a beautiful day and we're going to do a Bondi de Bronte. And they both looked up and they were like, yeah, of course, let's go. And we just had so much get up and go after that. We were ready to rock. And had everyone just stayed on screens inside on a beautiful sunshiny day, I guarantee you the mood would have been very different.
And you get to the end of the day and you sort of feel like, oh, I didn't really make the most of that day, did I?
Yeah, exactly. I think time out in nature, even if you've got a little patch of grass on your median strip if you don't have a house, I've always found a way to try and get some nature time, just a little, like, reconnecting to self, reconnecting to nature. And I think exercise is just a huge part of that. If you're having a funky day, walk around the block. It's like my favourite thing to do. Especially here, we're in a U shape and it goes down and then up. So I even get a good little uphill workout at the end. So it really gets the blood going. And then I sit down and go, okay, I'm going to smash out an hour's work.
So what are you smashing out? What do you like? What do you want us all to know about that you are doing that's lighting you up?
Well, look, we do so much stuff, and I'm very fortunate to have myself, a beautiful naturopath on my team, Steph, a wonderful assistant who just makes everything come together, and someone who manages our programs and makes sure our students are really happy. So I don't do everything anymore, which is, as soon as I probably hand over a bit earlier than I'm financially able to, just for that like sanity moment where then, you can grow a little bit as a business to cover it. But I find, like, at the moment, what I'm really passionate about is helping people with quite specific health goals. So we've got now Low Tox Kids for parents who really want to drill down on what all these environmental toxins are doing to our children as a course. And we've got the Preconception Ninja, so whether people are having their second baby or, they've tried everything, it's just not working, or they're just thinking, how can I get the healthiest way possible before we do the horizontal tango? Or if you're doing IVF and doing it yourself, that's totally fine too. All of it's about maximising health, and Preconception Ninja is our course that does that. And then we're just finishing now Inflammation Ninja, because I've been through such a personal journey, and as I started to talk about it, I realised so many people had received these vague diagnoses of taking really serious long-term medications like steroids or even chemo drugs for things like rheumatoid arthritis. I'm just thinking there is a lot more people need to know about inflammation to be empowered to find practitioners who are really well versed in the grey areas that don't equate to, oh my god, this is an acute situation, we need to stitch your arm back on or have open heart surgery, which modern medicine deals with so beautifully. But the grey area stuff, like, people are just living with these things for decades. And then I've made a conscious decision to talk about mould every single time I'm able to. So every talk, right now I'm doing it too, because so many people don't realise 1/4 of the population, it is estimated, have the genotype that cannot expel mycotoxins. So these are the toxins that mold spores release into the home atmosphere or outside. And then half of buildings are water damaged. Half. So you do the maths on how many people are suffering out there with multi-system inflammatory conditions. So it could be nerve twitching, tremor. Like, I couldn't hold a plate still a year ago. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do these ones anymore. My nerves, my brain connections, just gone. Unable to sleep, chronic diarrhea, or constipation. Unfortunately, I got constipation. That was the worst. Too much information probably, but there we go. So many symptoms. It could be vertigo, it could be tinnitus, could be chronic fatigue. Could be, I mean, some people get misdiagnosed. I'm not saying this happens to everybody, but there have been people misdiagnosed with Parkinson's. Right. It turns out their limbs are multi-building and they start to heal. So this is serious, and people just don't know. And like at every talk now, 1 or 2 people then come up to me and go, "Oh my gosh, light bulb. No one's been able to diagnose me because of this multi-system situation with so much going on that everyone's like, maybe it's just, some sort of inflammation that's, and it, like crazy." So I'm really passionate about that and the inflammation piece. So Inflammation Ninja will be out next month. Yeah.
Awesome.
And they're all really easy courses, $85. You do them for as long as you want, like you have lifetime access, so you can look at one thing this week and then nothing for 3 months if you don't want to or don't have time. I just really think information needs to be organised in ways that help people practically able to take control of things instead of rabbit holing down the internet.
Yeah, you do that so well.
Because I mean, who like, it's just too confusing, and there are too many people paying for SEO, so certain versions of truths get, and I just like hitting straight to the practitioners who are on the ground, working with people every day, seeing results. We can't wait for scientific consensus. This will be decades away. I want to work with people who are seeing results and people making them feel better now, not like, oh no, we can't authorise Chinese medicine because there's no scientific consensus. Just like, well, there's a whole bunch of Chinese people that are doing pretty well after 6,000 years. Stuff like that. And I just think, and not that I'm a particular proponent of that therapy and that one only, but just to give you an example of how if you go on the internet often and you just search things, you're getting skewed results and you're getting more confused instead of more helped. And I just think empowerment is something I'm really passionate about for people. And
it's so important to look at, even from like what I'm talking about here, like exercise. What you're talking about is going to stop you from exercising, I presume, in terms of the way that you feel, inflammation, pain, all that kind of stuff.
I couldn't have played tennis a year ago.
So it's an amazing thing to actually tackle. So that you can actually do things like exercise and of course all the other things that you're wanting to do. So speaking of exercise,
oh my gosh, that's that word.
So I'm loving what you're talking about here, Alex, in terms of just this, helping you get that stimulation to your brain, because that's what exercise and movement does, doesn't it? It gets that blood flowing to your body, that oxygen flowing to your brain, just helping you keep going, get those great ideas, giving you that bits of energy. And even if you are at a time in your life where that feels really hard, and that idea of having to get up and get that little bit of energy,
there's
that's
always something tiny you can do.
There's always something tiny. So let's do something tiny.
Okay.
Let me show us. If you're sitting down at the couch, if you're feeling like you just can't do anything. If you've got, what did you call it? The dark.
Oh God! Oh no! You're going to make me recall something I just said.
Oh, it was really when you said
dull feeling.
Dull. That dull feeling. I really like how you describe that. So if you've ever got that dull sort of feeling, and when you've got that dull feeling, like you're saying, exercise makes you feel so much better, but it's often the last thing you feel like doing, doesn't it? So that's why just taking these little moments just to get up and move, and I'm sure after you've heard Alexx Stuart, you'll be very inspired to do it because of what it does for you. Someone who's here now, you're really killing it in what you're doing and able to give so much and have gone through such a journey. So let's show you a couple of moves. I'll show you too.
I don't know what she's going to make me do, by the way. We haven't spoken about this at all.
If you're sitting down on your couch, if you're on your chair, and even if you are standing up as well, because even if you're standing at your desk, you still want to move as well. It's the idea of getting into motion and moving through that feeling of low energy, feeling a bit dull, dark, stuck, whatever it is. And like Tony Robbins says, changing your state. And you can just change your state just by a movement in your body. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to come around and zoom out. I'll be the cameraman. Ready? And we're going to stand on up.
Are we standing?
Yeah, there we go. How does that look? Beautiful.
Yeah.
While I'm setting this up, what about your couch? You're saying something about the couch?
So because we left a water damaged building and I was affected by the mold, I had to replace lots of things. That may mean I don't have much of a savings account anymore, but that'll build back up. But the things that we replaced it with were really important to me, that we made the best ecological and health choice. And I had found a couch company that actually used all natural materials and everything Australian made, and that was like, but that was actually going to end up being the entire budget for the mattresses, the couch, and everything. So it was like, okay, I'm going to need to find something that at least ticks the eco box. And I happened to be at West Elm, and this is by no means a sponsored post for them or anything, I'm just letting you know where I got this from. And the Harmony couch wasn't on my radar. I was actually looking at another one because I thought these, the colour was too pale. Hello, family life.
Yeah.
But it turns out every single cushion cover is removable and dry cleanable. So that kind of won me back once I started looking at it. Sat down, I was like, oh my God, this is so comfortable. What's it made from? And it turns out it's filled with old PET bottles, plastic PET bottles that are fibres. So you want to off-gas that, because that's obviously plastics in the home, and you just want to make sure you've got the windows wide open for a good couple of weeks, or if you've got a garden you can just sun it, which is a great thing to do. But I just love that we have rescued like thousands and thousands and thousands of bottles of plastic with our couch, and then these cushions, which are all natural and fair trade.
Oh wow, so beautiful.
Yeah, and I just like, it was really nice to be at, because every time you sit down, you're just like, something nice for the planet.
Yeah. Well, there's little choices you can make in your life. Yeah. Tiny choices. And it's like this little choice we're going to show you now. Just this choice to be able to get up and move. Let's start by sitting down.
Okay.
So you're sitting here. All we're going to do is stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. If you feel like your knees don't like that very much, you're just not going to sit all the way down again. What I want you to feel is your feet in the floor, right? So feel this sort of grounding down, because often we're just really disconnected to our bodies, aren't we, and what's going on. So this idea of pushing your feet into the floor and standing on up. I'll move this way a little bit just so we don't donk heads, because that would be hilarious. We can't even do that. So up and down, and you're just going to go for 10 of those. I love your hands there. Yeah, you're a yogi. Or you're just praying this will be over soon. Up and down. So when you're sitting down a lot, you get a weak core, you get soft glutes, you get tight hip flexors, and all of this is getting those parts activated and stronger and looser. So we're going to get all tight. It's also taking your body out of sleep mode, which happens when we sit down a lot. It's making your heart work harder and therefore increasing your metabolism.
Don't you love how she said we were going to be doing 10 of these?
Oh yeah, this is what happens to me. I start talking. And then we stand up. I'm done. I start talking. Yeah. All right. Now what you're going to do is, because also we get stuck in the same position, going to do a push through that way. Yeah. And then push through this other way.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Hi. That's it. Look, we could be Jane Fonda right now. Or synchronized swimmers or something. Twisting through your spine. Just a really, really nice stretch to do.
Very good for digestion too.
Yes, because they say it's like you're sort of wringing out your internal organs or something.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. Your toxins.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Should we do our down up again with our squats?
Yeah, sure.
I promise we'll do 10 this time. Okay, you can count. 1. So remember to push those feet into the floor. And when you come up, you can have this moment where you just open up your chest a little bit as well. Scoop under your tailbone. Yeah. And
I love doing the scoop.
Scoop under, and that's going to connect into your tummy more. You're still counting? As I'm talking?
We've got
3
to go.
3 to go. Okay. So this moment to open up your chest. Push. Are you feeling like your bottom muscles and everything here? Your thighs?
I am. Thighs especially.
Yeah. And one more?
No.
And let's go for another really nice
twist. For you. Yeah.
This time we do the twist, I want you to do a little bit faster. So you sort of get your heart rate up a little bit more. So you're going to push out.
Move this guy so we can really let rip.
You get up. Push. There you go. Oh, look at us now. We are totally, I'm thinking we're aerobics all style now.
Absolutely.
Aren't you? And as you're doing this one, you can do a little bend in the middle as well. Yeah. So this tiny little moment you take, you get your heart pumping a bit, you're twisting through your body, you're switching on all your muscles, and you're sending all this beautiful blood and oxygen to your body, your heart, and to your brain. And that's it. How good is that?
That's it, we're done.
Couple of minutes.
Oh wow.
And then you can sort of sit back down, boom, get working again. But just in that knowledge that not only have you helped your brain, your productivity, you've strengthened your brain a little bit as well, but you've also had this moment that you've given back to yourself.
Exactly, and I think that is so key, isn't it? That you've just got to remember it's a gift. It's not a have to, it's a gift.
Yes, yeah. That's one of the many little bits of wisdom and beautiful words that you have used in this whole chat.
Yeah.
There's so much for us all to take out of this. And I really appreciate it. And we're doing a Mother's Den brunch.
We are.
Together on Thursday. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, so if you watch this in time and you're in Sydney, you can come to the Mother's Den brunch to see us talk with the beautiful Kate Sutton from Uber Kate.
Who's a legend.
Who's also 2 Minute Mood with me.
Oh yeah, I did actually see that. I haven't watched yours yet with her.
Yeah. That was fantastic. She had a hammer and all her amazing jewelry all behind her. And speaking of amazing, all the things that you are putting out there, we are all so grateful and thank you for all of that. And thank you for 2 minutes.
I just always hope it's helpful. Yeah.
Yes, it totally is. I think all these little things that you help us with, it's like with these little moments you take to move, they all these little choices, all this bit of information, all these tools and tips add up to making a really big difference.
Yeah, they really do. And I think it's so important that we realise that the little things do matter. You know, some of our friends are like, oh, but the goal's so big and I'm not there yet. It's like, well, how's the journey going?
Yeah, and how do you make that first little step? And that's why it's so wonderful to have things like yours, little moments to move, like all these little things that you can easily take that first step with and then make this a sustainable part of your life, which I guess is what we all ultimately want. Yeah.
Thank you for your beautiful workouts. I love them.
That was beautiful. I love it. So simple and yet so effective and good.
I know. I now want to do these ones.
Oh yeah, we should have done those too. We'll do these as we're saying goodbye. As we go to a commercial break, we'll do these ones as I'm kind of running off and pressing end broadcast. Thank you so much for being here. I really hope this has inspired you to get your body moving more and showing you how possible it is to make it a part of this precious life of yours. I'll see you soon. Bye.